Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. I just got my wisdom teeth removed, so I apologize if I sound like Brittany Mahomes after the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. But getting into the topic of today's video, in my opinion, Lamar Jackson's breakup with the Ravens is inevitable. Let me tell you guys why. So the Ravens just recently placed Lamar Jackson on the non-exclusive franchise tag, meaning Lamar will get $32.4 million next year, while also giving Lamar the freedom to basically negotiate with any other team he wants. So he's basically a restricted free agent to all my basketball fans out there. If Lamar receives a big offer for a team, the Ravens can obviously match this offer. If they choose to decline this offer, they'll get an immediate 2 first-round picks, which is honestly really good draft compensation. But in my opinion, Lamar Jackson is worth much more than 2 first-round picks. Lamar Jackson is a former MVP, and it's honestly insane that a former MVP in his second year, basically his first year starting in the league, still hasn't gotten a big long-term contract, especially looking at guys like Kyler Murray, who got drafted after Lamar Jackson, and he already signed a 5-year, $230 million deal with $160 million guaranteed. I really look at the Deshaun Watson deal at really messing up the entire quarterback market. Here's a guy who really hasn't played in 2 seasons, coming off of not only an ACL injury, but he's also coming off of a lot of legal issues. And this guy gets 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed. Lamar Jackson looked at that, looked at his agent and said, that's what we're getting. The second Lamar Jackson's agent came back to him and said, hey, Lamar, I don't really think we can get that contract. Lamar said, screw you. I know my worth. That's the money I'm getting. And I completely respect Lamar Jackson for this, but I disagree with the way he's going about it. You look at a guy like Richard Sherman, for example. So Richard Sherman is really the first high-profile NFL player in NFL history to negotiate his own contract. He did it when he left the Seahawks and went to the 49ers. And in foresight, everyone was praising Richard Sherman for making such an incredible deal for himself. This was going to be a trend going forward. Flash forward like 3 or 4 years, and this deal was getting absolutely mocked and laughed at in hindsight because he left a significant amount of guaranteed money on the table, and his whole contract was basically incentive-based, which is not a smart thing to do in the NFL. NFL teams are really good around getting around those loopholes with the incentive-based contracts. So if an extremely intelligent guy like Richard Sherman, who honestly went to Stanford, got his degree, again, is a really smart guy, if he can't properly negotiate a contract, do I think Lamar Jackson can or any other football player can with full confidence? I honestly don't think so. I don't think it is even close to being on the horizon. So in my opinion, step 1, Lamar Jackson, get a really good agent, man, who can negotiate the most amount of money for you, not the price point you desperately want. That's just what happened with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones wanted a bunch of money. He has a good agent. The Giants wanted to negotiate with him, and they ended up striking a deal. 4 years, $160 million, $35 million in incentives. So if you're Lamar Jackson, you can have somewhat of an incentive-based deal and still be happy with it, just like what happened with Kyler Murray, just like what happened with Daniel Jones. Even a guy like Geno Smith is basically going to be getting paid $20 million more than Lamar Jackson this season or next season, which is absolutely insane. Geno's about to get about $50 million next year. But getting to the point why I think the breakup of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens is inevitable is because this is such a significant strain on their relationship, not being able to get a contract done. Lamar Jackson basically sitting out at the end of the season saying, I'm 70%, I'm 60%. If I had the Deshaun Watson contract, I'm playing in that playoff game, no question about it. Even if I have a Kyler Murray-esque contract, I'm playing in that playoff game, but who in their right mind would play in a playoff game injured on their rookie deal when they can make upwards to $200, $300 million? Good for Lamar Jackson. I'm genuinely happy he did not play in the Ravens playoff game and really held his ground. Now, I know what people are saying. I get it. Lamar Jackson has played 12 games in the last 2 seasons, not in total, but each 12 games. He has that play style that really is not indicative of just being a healthy football player, but man, he's proven it as a passer. In my opinion, for the next 5-10 years, Lamar Jackson will still have a good enough run ability to really keep the defense on his feet so he can transition into more of a traditional pocket passer. I mean, you look at 2019, he's significantly improved on his passing ability since his MVP season. And even then, in his MVP season, he led the Ravens to a 13-2 record. He had about 3,100 passing yards, 36 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions. I mean, that's an absolutely insane all-time great interception to touchdown ratio over the air. He also had 1,200 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns. You don't even need that from Lamar Jackson. You need about 800, 700 rushing yards from Lamar, 5 rushing touchdowns. If he can get 3,500 yards from the air and just grind out the football game, you can average 24 points per game with Lamar Jackson at quarterback and be one of the best teams in the league because you're eating the clock the entire game. So if that's not sustainable football, I honestly don't know what is. I think Lamar Jackson is such a dynamic talent, and he absolutely deserves a big contract. You got to risk it in the NFL. I get it. Could he be injured for his entire contract? He absolutely can, but you got to take that risk at some point. I mean, come on, Ravens. Who have you had in your history who's even been close to the talent of a Lamar Jackson? Hell, name most NFL organizations. They've never even had a player even close to the caliber of Lamar Jackson. I know a bunch of teams would want Lamar Jackson. They're just kind of trying to wait out the situation and get the best value, because realistically, if you can get Lamar Jackson 2 years, 3 years down the road and not give up 2 first-round picks, I think that's much smarter than getting him right now at the moment. So this situation really reminded me of Tom Brady's inevitable breakup with the Patriots. What do I mean by that? There was an event just like this with Lamar Jackson where Lamar Jackson, again, contract dispute, it is inevitable that they will break up. This is a really significant issue. People are trying to swipe it under the rug and say, hey, they can still amend the relationship. Their relationship is fractured beyond repair. Does that mean that Lamar Jackson won't play for the Ravens next season? No, I honestly think he will. Does that mean he won't be a Raven for the next 2, 3, 4 years? No, that doesn't. But that means 10 years down the road, we're going to look at it and go, yeah, this point right now in time is when the breakup really started to come to fruition. Flashback to 2014 and the Patriots and Tom Brady. I know this sounds insane, but the Patriots and Tom Brady only had 3 Super Bowl rings. Tom Brady was 0-2 in his last 2 Super Bowls, and the future really was looking bleak somewhat for the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick was saying, I'm done with Tom Brady, honestly. I love Tom, but the breakup is inevitable. I'm going to start the process of breaking up with Tom Brady right now. I'm going to draft his replacement. So in 2014, the Patriots drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, which everybody says in hindsight, even really insiders for the Patriots say this was the beginning of the end with Tom Brady and the Patriots. Now, does that mean he left immediately? Absolutely not. We know, as history tells us, Tom Brady ended up winning 3 more Super Bowls with the New England Patriots after they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even end up being the future for the New England Patriots. But that moment in time, nonetheless, was the moment when the breakup was inevitable. So this is what I'm trying to say with Lamar. Does it mean that Lamar is gone tomorrow? No. Does it mean he's gone in 2 years? No. But he's gone in 5 years. He's gone in 10 years. He's not going to retire a Raven. And to me, that's a pretty big L for the Ravens.